We wouldn't see him from the tee until we got to the green. Down in a hole. Seriously, I'm dead serious. 18 holes.
Yeah.
And he just,
Yeah.
looking around every now and then you see a head move.
Yeah.
Bunker to bunker to bunker. Over the fairway.
It was bunker to bunker.
Oh, no. Oh, those are the bunkers.
Well, see, you don't even have to necessarily hit in.
No, but
You hit it around, and then it just rolls.
Roll right in. Yeah.
So it was missing an action at the time.
Seriously.
We're losing all these people every time we have a party.
Playing a elegant speech. You can have a party if you want.
5:30.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. This is the Bella Vista City Council work session for December 9, 2024. Our first item is review of the minutes from November 25, 2024 regular meeting. If anybody has any comments on that, so you can read those over before next week. There's no unfinished business. Under new business, first item is a resolution approving the mayor's reappointments of Barbara Knott, Susan Santos, and Sally Benson to the City of Bella Vista Public Library Advisory Board, and that's for terms ending December 31, 2028. So those three are already on the board, and we're willing to be on again. All right?
My question would be, how many people are totally on the board? What's the board made up of?
There's
9,
7.
12?
There's 7. So there's 3 come up 1 year, and then a couple other years 2 come up. So this is what it's rated out.
So this is the year with the 3.
Yeah, and they get pretty good attendance at their meetings. Usually there, which is good.
Glad that the 3 who are on are willing to another term. That's good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good group. So next one is actually one of the newer members on the board is the spouse of Craig Honchel. She's joined in the last year or so.
Last year.
Yeah.
One point.
Yeah. So,
So you're the first husband of the library council.
yeah. The next one's a resolution establishing residential and commercial rates for solid waste trash collection in the city. And I've attached a copy of that. You know, that contract was for 10 years, and then it had 2 5-year options to renew. And we're on the first 5-year option to renew, and it ends December 31, 2027. So when that gets close, we'll want to maybe look at our options and see, you know, what's the best way to proceed.
So we're into that second
Yeah,
And
we're,
then
well, we're in the
first
first 5
amendment
years.
of the 5 years, so
Yeah.
we've gone 10, and now we're into the
Yeah.
working on the 15-year program.
Yeah, I noticed the 10 years end is at 2022. And into 2022. Yeah, so we're on our first 5 years. So we may choose just to re-up, but we may look at our options when that gets closer.
Yeah, I think the number that was given, and you know what, I don't know right now, but where it was $50-some plus, what was it, $1.75 that goes back to the city, but that was, and it does say it on there, but that was what, without the city, the county, and was the
Other
state
sales
sales tax.
taxes.
So it didn't really have the cumulative total that it's
Mhm.
going to be at the end of the day. And I didn't try to do the tax, but, because mine's 54 right now, so the number that's given on there is 53 something, I think, but with taxes it's going to
Yeah,
be something over 54.
they were saying $17.48 a month, and you're saying that doesn't necessarily
Times
have all
three.
the taxes. Yeah, times
It does
three.
not, it does not, yeah.
Yeah. I have noticed one thing, the contract has a CPI for trash, there's some phraseology, and it always seems to be higher than the regular inflation. For some reason, that particular inflation indicator is pretty stout.
So that indicator.
So it was 5% this year, and what CPI was 2.5 or
What did it
3
go
or
last
something
year?
like that.
Did we go
It's
5%?
always been, well, it's always been a little bit higher. I don't recall what it was last year,
It was
but
at
I've
least
always
3.
noticed that.
It was at least 3 last year.
Yeah, I know,
So-
but I don't think he kept pace with inflation last time.
Yeah. Anyway, it's, you know, I'm not getting a lot of complaints or anything from users.
Yes, I have just a quick question. Have they ever offered or considered a recycling program? Because that comes up all the time.
Well, you know, that's interesting because they have the right to do the recycling, the exclusive right. And there was a guy who wanted to try doing recycling, and he wasn't able to get their permission. They don't feel it works. And I know a lot of people, because they move from other places, say, yeah, I'd like to have some curbside recycling. They don't think the economics of it works.
They don't think the economics, but they don't want somebody else to do it.
Yeah, they have the exclusive right in their contract.
I think one of the big issues is that if you go and talk to the AARP recycling group down here, the need or the demand for recycled paper is almost zero, cardboard is way down, a whole bunch of their products that they actually take in, or they don't get what they used to get out of, because there's no demand. China is not taking a lot of stuff they used to. That's my story that I've told. So as a result of that, you know, we have a recycling center. It's just that it takes initiative on your part as a citizen to be cognizant and willing to take that responsibility to take it down. I think the recycling program for us is going to be very costly because of that other side of the formula. There's not a demand for the products they collect, and a lot of it ends up in the landfill anyway.
Do they ever reevaluate or survey out an opt-in option, like what the cost would be? I know the one gentleman who tried to offer it,
Yeah.
it was incredibly expensive, but I don't know. Is that a conversation we can have over public, if they'd be willing to like put the feelers out there? Because like I know I pay a decent amount of money for curbside recycling. I know a lot of people
They'd
would.
be, yeah, they'd be happy to talk to us about it,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about that.
But
because-
even if they did like even a monthly pickup of, you know, if the only thing that was profitable was plastic or cardboard or glass or, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know if they can break it down that close, but just to
Yeah.
have some kind of,
Curbside.
offer something to where people
Yeah.
feel better
I
about.
actually, the information I have is that there's no money in glass, and literally zero.
Zero.
And they just do that to be nice, but there is, cardboard did go way down because of China, but it's come back some. There's some money to be made in everything except glass.
Well, very little plastic is actually recyclable.
Mhm.
It's just it's a small number. So, I mean, that's just a fact, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go through all this trouble, at the end of the day, I guess every little bit helps to a
Yeah.
degree, but, I don't know. And most of it doesn't actually even get recycled at all.
Well, the newspaper thing has almost gone away. That used to be a big thing, in recycling.
And the people who really suffer is all the money they give away. So they don't keep a whole lot of it themselves, they give most of it away.
Yeah, the local
That's the ones who hurt the
charities.
most.
Yeah.
It's a charitable operation, yeah.
But it's actually considered a successful, I mean, very few cities have a successful recycling like we do, so it has its pluses.
So we're blessed, really, in that respect.
Yeah.
Is it worthwhile to look next year at doing a study where we do a survey of our residents and see if their what the participation level might be? Does that make any sense?
What I was going to say, we'll stop that discussion, but what I was going to say is that historically in Bella Vista, back when we got into this, and I only know this because I've been around here, if we had curbside recycling with Republic or Allied at the time, there's no guarantee they're going to use our recycling center. They're going to take that material to wherever they do.
Yeah.
And the thought at the time was, well, it's going to end up shutting down our recycling center. We're not going to be any recyclables at our recycling center because they're all going to go to Republic
Yeah.
and then end up going to Kansas City or, points forward in the chain. So it was going to basically crush our recycling center. So Frank, I know at the time, wanted to make sure our recycling center had material. And so that's kind of why we ended up in the position we're in.
If they don't pick it up, they'll end up in the gullies and the ditches and everywhere else.
Well,
And really screw up the landfills and everything.
yeah, Peter told me the same thing, that he was reluctant to do the curbside, but this young man who was exploring doing recycling, he was going to actually take it to these good
Utilize,
people.
yeah.
So that was good, I thought, from the point of view of protecting them.
He was going to take it to our recycling
Yeah.
center for
Yeah.
disposal.
Yeah, that was his plan, so.
It would save some of his cost if they would have the facilities to accept that kind of bulk deliveries. Because it's going to be different than what it is now with the individual residents dropping.
How many trucks we're a big city. Is he going to have just a truck
Well,
and
he's
do it
just going to
himself?
try part of the city at first, I think, and
Okay.
see how kind of.
Those are
I mean, they would need a
Yeah.
team of trucks and,
Yeah.
a big, it's going to take more of an operation.
Split it up into
Cover
a
it all.
5-day operation, and you've got each of those 5 areas to one truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, you got 2 years to figure it out because you got a contract coming up in 2 years.
yeah.
If you want to
well,
try that.
Yeah, 3 years even. This is into 24 and it's into 27. So yeah, we could, I wouldn't mind looking into it just to see, explore it a little bit.
A question for you is, what's the possibility of their considering a contract arrangement where you go down the street and those who want to participate subscribe to the service, and those that don't, like they have the yard waste?
Yeah,
And so you pay as you go,
Yeah.
if you want to do it, or if you want to take it down to recycling on your own.
Well, it's not going to be, I mean, if you have one person at the end of the street that wants it, and
Well,
the
it's
truck
like-
has to drive all the way down to get that one person. I mean, it's-
Well, but that's like the yard waste thing, you know.
They already picked that.
I don't have a whole bunch on my street that has things out for the yard waste. They come in our area on Fridays, and so if one of those blue dumpsters is out at the street, it should only be yard waste products. Then you can have, you can contract for 1 or 2 or 3 carts however many you think you need. And you pay on that basis, so you can put out there up to how many you have. They pick them up every week from, was it April 1st to March 1st?
Yeah, it's 8 months or so. But Greg's right, it kills your economies of scale.
Oh,
You
I've
don't
no question
have
about it,
everybody.
but
So, anyway, so that's the trash collection to be voted on next week. Next one's a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an 11th amended animal service contract for animal sheltering service with Bella Vista Animal Shelter Inc. And that goes from $5,250 a month to $5,500. That's the flat amount. And then there's another charge, I think it's $60 a cat and $110 a dog. The police chief told me right before the meeting that this year's 2024 budget was $110,000, and he could tell that's enough by now. You know, when it gets near the end of the year, you can tell. So next year's budget is $113,000.
And it's the first time in a long time they haven't raised the price on dogs and cats,
Yeah,
because that usually flips around too.
yeah.
It's been a while since they haven't
evidently.
passed that on.
But evidently, the rate that's on there now is adequate to cover their costs respectively for a dog or a cat, so that's probably the reason it is now.
Is, anybody know, is Bella Vista still the dumping ground for dogs and cats, or? is
I
that-
can tell you, based on the cases I prosecuted, I don't know about that, just people dumping cats and dogs. One of the things that we have happen in Bella Vista are people from other communities bringing animals to our shelter and either lying about the fact that they're living in Bella Vista or dumping an animal by the animal shelter. In either one of those circumstances, we investigate that and they end up getting charged with offenses for that, a theft of services and cruelty to animals for abandoning the animal without, even though it's at a shelter, there may not be anybody there. And we've had circumstances where animals have been left in containers out by the shelter, and it was in summer, and some of them didn't make it. They had to be put down. And so we have that happen, unfortunately, quite regularly in Bella Vista. It's unfortunate.
Well, there's a lot of loose dogs and cats based on the next door
Well,
reports.
but
Not only in Bella Vista, but everywhere around.
I mean, they ask, are you in Bella Vista, and they'll lie about it. The people who are causing the problem. And
Yeah. I do think sometimes Facebook is a little exaggerated. When I
Probably.
campaigned, I went to 8,000 houses, and I saw 2 dogs loose. 2 dogs. In what, 4 months?
In the neighborhoods you walked in.
Yeah.
The neighborhoods you
Yeah.
loose dog, we're getting beyond stray dogs, but I mean, I do see a lot of cases of dog at large and vicious dog that we have in Bella Vista. That does happen quite regularly.
Yeah.
Like Labrador.
Gotta see the outcome of that, so.
You know, they just sent out that newsletter, and if you read it, they're doing a pretty impressive job as far as finding and rehabilitating and getting them back to where they belong. There's almost like a 85 or 90% return on cats, and, you know, cats to get adopted. So they're doing well, if you would have read that article.
Well, I really feel good about our animal shelter, the attempts they make for fundraising on their own. I mean, they really make a big effort. They have a lot of things during the year, the Wiener Dog Race, the golf tournament, and it's a lot. It's a big effort. So anyway, so that's the animal shelter. And then next one is a resolution adopting a city budget for the city of Bella Vista for the calendar year 2024.
Should be 25.
20, yeah, it should be 25. Appropriating money for each item of expenditure and for other purposes. And of course, we went over that at the work session the other day, special work session. And Kim passed out a single sheet today. And the thrust of the single sheet is that it, can't find my single sheet. All it does is it has an entry on there when it says total general fund revenues, 23.2 million, and the entry of funds from reserve is 754,000, and that makes it come down to zero. So it's acknowledging the fact we're taking some money from reserves.
So we're not operating in the red, we're
But
operating.
we have to balance, we have to have a
balance
balanced
the
budget.
budget.
Yeah.
What it does is it
Yeah.
balances the budget.
So, did we ever get a copy of the community development budget?
It's in here, it's in the packet.
Oh, yeah, the planning, yeah.
Yeah, all of it's in here, Jerry. Broken down by
Yeah.
pieces.
You know, at the work session, I just picked out a few larger departments, because when I was looking at the list, you know, a lot of the smaller departments like HR and legal, they'd be, you know, plus 1%, and they were smaller, so it didn't, so I tried to pick out the bigger things or things that had a big change in them. And based on your comments, to be honest, you know, I picked 3 departments to make a presentation. And probably next year, I would do the same thing, only add maybe 1 or 2 more departments, maybe add planning and development. You know, have them make a presentation also.
Well, tell me, how did, last year's budget was 1.2 million, and this year's budget's 1.2 million. How, and so they're absent a director's salary, and code enforcement and building inspectors and permits been moved to different departments.
Well, the I see what you mean, but the code enforcement and building inspectors weren't moved this year. That was 2023, where they were, so they've been gone for, yeah, a year and a half or so. But I see your point. Go ahead.
So again, I don't understand how the budget turned out to be, be flat, the same as the code enforcement and the building inspections were taken out of community development in 23.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we transferred that in about mid-year or so, give or take.
Did they make the adjustment for the whole entire year, or just for 6 months?
Taylor, did you want to say a few words about it?
Yeah, I can answer any questions you guys have. So if you look at my budget, it's almost exactly the same, right? There's a 0% when you're looking at it overall, 1.2 million. I know there's questions about the salary. However, this budget for 2025 is only 1 head. Actually, it's 12 people. So the 2024 budget you guys approved was for 12 people. We've added 2 people this year, and so we've moved 4 people over. And it ends up with this budget, we are adding 1 additional head, so we'll be at the exact same head count that we actually were at the beginning of January 2024. So the salary actually decreases, I think 36,000, but really it kind of evens out. There is a budget amendment in there to increase my trails maintenance a little bit, so it kind of evens out, so that's how I flattened out. Head count's the same. We did lose a person. That salary is spread out to add another person and did fall about 36,000, and then that was used to appropriate in my trails budget to increase for maintenance of 2025. So
Is Ken still here?
I am.
Oh, there you are, you're fine. So when we made the change, right, code enforcement over to police department, all that, when you made the adjustment, because we wanted to do it clean, I guess, at 6, was it halfway into the year? Did you make the change in the books for the whole entire year, or just for the 6 months?
For the 6 months.
Just for the 6 months?
So you're talking about 2023?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 6 months. And in 2024, when we moved the people, we did it from the time we made the move.
Right, but again, I apologize, so I'm kind of going off track, I'm going back to 2023. But 2024, we had a whole entire year of the adjustment.
Yes.
So 2025, it's where I'm going is it's apples to apples.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no,
yeah.
yeah, so it
So
firstly
you
has remained exactly the same.
2024, so I think think where you're going, I think, is that there's this budget that's in here is not the original budget that you guys voted on last year. It's the amended budget after we've made these changes. So it's been already increased by half a year.
Gotcha.
So that's why it doesn't quite feel, it feels a little funky, right? From that standpoint, just because it's already been increased some. And then in 2025, we get the full year.
One of the things that happened is, Trailblazers was backing off trail maintenance a bit, and so the POA, the city are under a little bit of pressure on trail maintenance compared to what they were, which is actually consistent with the original deal. The original deal was, Walton Family Foundation would give us free trails, but us and the POA were going to have to keep them up, so we always knew that was the long-term plan. We've been getting a lot of stuff from the volunteers on the trails. We have a phenomenal number of volunteers. And we had people like Trailblazers doing things that really, more than they were obligated to do, is the way I looked at it.
Well, now because of the maintenance that was funded by the Walton Family Foundation is now being transferred to us, we're seeing that increase in that cost line item on our side of the ledger rather than
On our side of the house.
there at all.
Yeah.
So,
Just one thing in the title. Now, just a curious question. The expenditure of funds appropriated by the resolution shall not be restricted to line item expenditures. In other words, departments are able to move money around within the departments to make everything balance. Like if they're over budgeted here and they're under budgeted here, they can make an interdepartmental change without having to come to the council.
Need a little more training and less supplies
Right.
in their department.
They don't have to come to council to get it approved.
We used to do, done that for years.
We've always done.
They've done that for years.
it's a good way to go, but you're
Yeah,
not
but they've done it for years.
for the department.
Which it's fine, I don't have a problem with it. I just was reading, that they had that ability to move money around if they needed to with their
Yeah,
budget.
we did it when I was doing it.
As long as the bottom line is still there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, any more comments on the budget? You can feel free to bring things up before the meeting next week also. Fred?
Well, the only, I don't know if it's a question for Chief Graves. I didn't know if, it seems like kind of the recurring thing between the police and the fire is vehicle maintenance, fuel, as far as like expense-wise. And I didn't know if we have explored the possibility of like I know Ford has a hybrid Explorer that it's new to the market. I don't know if anybody's using them yet. But what I'm getting at is that it seems like idle hours are what's kind of eating the vehicles up, because that's just sitting. And I didn't know if I'm not going to suggest like full electric, anything like that. That's not practical. But like a hybrid, I didn't know if something like that would take care of idle hours, or if we explored those options or asked any questions about that.
Yeah, I've never, electric vehicles would never work as police vehicles. It just because of all the extra equipment we run,
Right.
that time on, hey, this far on a full charge there's always perfect conditions, no air conditioner, no headlights, no nothing, and we run too many extra systems for that. I think a hybrid, we might run into the same problem with the battery life. I just don't know. I don't know of any department that's done a hybrid for a patrol vehicle. Idle time is hard on vehicles, but it's just, we still are getting 110, 20, 15, 20,000 out of our vehicles, so we're still getting a very good life out of our vehicles. And some do idle more than others, it just depends. And we do work with we never worried about idle time in the past because we didn't have, we just had mileage, that's it. Now these newer cars have idle, and so that's something we're coming across And I don't see it as a problem because, but our shops department, the streets department is able to actually monitor that and let us know what cars are idling more than others, then we can move the idea is to then move cars around, because you have some shifts that idle more than others. That's all there is to it. Depending on the weather, depending on what they're doing than other shifts. You have officers that do different types of work in the field that would spend more time idling. And so we tend to try to move cars around. So I'm not sure exactly if your question is, would a hybrid be better? I don't think so, honestly, because usually a hybrid, then, you have a smaller gas-powered engine, which I think then we'd run into trouble there because, police vehicles are either, accelerator full up or accelerator full down a lot of times, because of where the officers are going. So, but I'd be happy to look into it. I'd be happy to do a little research on it. But I don't think idle time is necessarily a problem. It's just a new thing we have now because of the meters on cars where we're now able to monitor it more.
Right.
And I think working with our streets department, we're coming up with better ways, better oils. And they're sending out our oils at different times to see what oils are working better, what oils are showing no breakdown, and I think they're zeroing in on a lot of better maintenance procedures and oils for these cars. So it hasn't been a problem in that we're only getting 90,000 miles out of a car because we idle it too much. It really isn't that. We're still getting 110, 120,000 miles out of these cars. I don't think we can ask for much more than that in a patrol car.
Okay, and I was just curious.
I'll be happy to look into it. Maybe next time at one of the council meetings, I'll come up and let you know what I find out. But I don't know of any agency that has done hybrid patrol vehicles.
Okay.
And you haven't lost any motors due to idling time because you maintain them so well.
Normally if we lose motors, it's because that motor had a problem.
Yeah.
It loses a cylinder, that batch has had a
Because,
problem.
with my 14 years there, we never lost a motor, but we maintained the daylights out of it.
That's why we stayed away from
3,000 miles religiously, no matter what the book said.
that's why we're moving away from the Chargers, because in the past we've tried V6 Chargers and we'd blow those motors that they wouldn't last. So then we went back to only V8s. Now Dodge is getting rid of V8 Chargers and going to V6, so we're moving away from the Charger because of that, because we know that the V6 won't hold up. So we're always trying to bounce around and find the best platform. Right now it's the Tahoe and the Durango, I think, are the better platforms.
I was just curious.
No, it's a good question, though. I'd be happy to look into it, and I'll get back to you.
The old Crown Vics used to be good for 200 or 250, didn't it?
Nope.
They weren't?
They didn't do any better than anybody else. It got to a certain point, you knew it was going to start going bad, so we just see it. We didn't push the issue.
Well, with the analysis of oils and things for metal shavings and other,
Never a problem.
no, I know, but if you do that, you can detect
So
sometimes.
you do it religiously. If you did your car religiously, it would last just as long as not longer, but people tend not to do that.
Right.
So if you maintain them, they will last a very long time. Now, the service that they get, that makes a little bit of a difference. If you maintain it, you won't have many problems with the motor, regardless of the idle time. But the idle time is what eats them up.
While we're talking about mechanics, I would like to mention the mechanics we have in this, which are in the street department. So we have in-house mechanics are terrific. They do a terrific job, and you really notice that driving your vehicle. I mean, it's
In the good old days,
mechanics I'm getting in the outside world, I'll tell you that.
Our mechanics in the good old days would take a car down there, re-repair it, and about an hour and a half later, they'd bring us another car so we could put them side by side and see how to put them back together. We had that problem back then.
So,
It got much better.
yeah. So those are the items. I had a couple of discussion items. One is a space for council members to meet constituents. Wendy brought this up. I thought it was a good point. She asked me if there was going to be space in our new city hall for that. She's particularly concerned about female council people. If they're meeting with some stranger, it might be safer to come meet at City Hall, which was a good point. And and there will be space. We have a small conference room at the new City Hall. It would be ideal for that. So what people need to do, and well, let me backtrack. In our existing City Hall, you can also do that. We have a larger conference room, but You know, we have a schedule when it's available, when it's not, so you just need to contact Wendy Hardina, and you can line up that City Hall conference room if you'd like, and that could be, you know, it's open a lot. A lot of times there's people in it, but a lot of times it's open also. So, Larry?
An alternative might be, we have 2 meetings across the hall for the court, and those are council, I guess, legal counsel rooms that they could be used as well, because those are open a lot of times except the court day, I'm assuming. But then,
I don't speak for the,
no, I understand.
I don't know why you couldn't, but I'd have to defer to the court clerk on the room's availability.
I thought that the doors are locked though when it's not in.
They may be, I don't know.
I don't know if it would be anybody around so much.
Well, you would make the arrangements
Yeah.
with the dispatch so they know you're here.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a thought.
And one more thing we didn't have on the agenda. Brandon Kelly from A&P Commission came to see me today, and he asked me to be on the A&P Commission. And I would like to do that. I used to be on it, and so we're going to have something on the council agenda next week for that. And here, I'll pass this out. Everybody can have one. It's just a draft that our crack legal counsel did in 1 minute or less. Anyway, just wanted to bring it to your attention. That would be on the agenda next week also. So that's all I have, unless somebody else has something for discussion.
Any monthly?
They used to meet monthly. I think they have to
No,
meet a little less now.
it's been quarterly, but we're finding out that that's really not. Monthly was too often, quarterly not often enough. So, and to the commission members to come that you have a real job, right? More than an hour is a stretch for some of them, making every state of whole meeting. So we talked about going to every other month because we weren't quite being able to get through our full agendas.
We do have to have 2 city people on it, and Wendy Hughes is on it. She's been on for a couple of years. So, okay, I think if that's it, then we can adjourn, and we'll see you next Monday. Thank you.
6:30, across the way.
Yep.
6 o'clock, not 6:30.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gonna get my car organized.
He said 6:30.